Quan, Regurgitator back on the road, and I've never seen so many dates listed in one place that I have on the Invader tour. You're going everywhere.
As you can see, I'm still in my car. I next 2 months because we're just on the road constantly.
Invader tour actually gives the fans a chance to hear pretty much everything off the album, with the exception of, you know, 1 or 2 tracks.
More or less, yeah. I think we're playing 10 at the moment, 10 off the record, and all the hits and faves as well. It's a long set. We warn people at the beginning if they're not in for it.
Yeah,
it's fine to leave time, whatever you can handle, really.
Yeah, if you're getting 10 new songs, you're also getting 18 old songs.
Generally, yeah. I think there's 30 on the list at the moment, or maybe you're right, 20. Yeah. With
the album, there's 3 collaborations on this record. Peaches, This Is Not a Pop Song. Dirty Old Men with JK47, Jacob Paulson. And The Bastard Poem That Nobody Wanted, Tyson Yunkaporta. Let's talk about that one first, because that is a poem put to music, but you do it live.
We didn't actually do it live. It was actually a kind of constructed thing. So he sent, I asked him, I was so impressed with his book. First of all, his book Sand Talk is incredible work, and the later one as well, Right Story, Wrong Story. And I'd been given his book Sand Talk first by actually a writer for The Guardian, whose name is James, I can't think of his last name, who recommended me read this book in the middle of our recording process, really, or just a bit before, perhaps earlier in the year. And I was so astonished by this book and so blown away by it. I mean, it really screwed me up completely. It was a mind fuck. I had to read it twice just to make any sense out of it. And I was so impressed with it that I just reached out to him randomly and said, look, I really love your work. I think it's vital. It's a really important work, and I'd love to work with you in any way, shape, or form. If you want to collaborate, or you want to offer something up for the record. And it was a kind of a slow email back and forth, really. And he just initially sent me this really bizarre comedy script that was like him aping all these racist guys pretending to be a radio program. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to use this? I was like, the thing you need to know about Tyson is that he's the ultimate shit stirrer. Like, he'll make you feel really uncomfortable about stuff. That's his modus operandi. He's brilliant at spotting bullshit, colonial behavior, or, you know, settler behavior, whatever like that. And he'll just call it out and do it in a really, really uncomfortable way, in a brilliant way. Which is what I love about him. He's a shit stirrer like me, and I really appreciate it about him. So I felt like I had that commonality. But I actually suggested I wrote some music to it, and he tried to use it for a podcast that he was producing at the time. And so that piece was passed in for that, and he used it. And I didn't expect anything else out of him. And then I said, oh, look, the album's almost got to be mixed and finished. Do you have anything else in mind? And he said, well, I got this poem nobody wanted, this bastard poem that nobody wanted, which was originally called Arc. And I read it and was so taken with it, and just thought it was so appropriate to the record and the themes on the record, that I was like, this is amazing. Can I get like a recording of your voice to do it? So he recorded it on his phone in the middle of the night while his kids were sleeping, and then sent it to me, and I kind of enhanced the audio and asked Ben if he had any kind of ideas for ambient kind of things. I've been listening to an incredible 2-piece band called Divide and Dissolve, which is like a doom band from, I don't know if they're based in Melbourne, but they're no longer in existence. I think one of the members moved to London, and they've kind of ceased doing stuff. But they're an incredible 2-piece doom band, 2 women. I can't remember what their backgrounds were, but possibly First Nations, possibly certainly women of color anyway, and they're incredible. So I thought something like that would match the poem. And so we kind of constructed this thing based on Ben's ambient guitar piece that he had worked on previously. And I put some drums to it in my studio. And we sent it to Tyson to see what he think. And I was like, oh, that's not too much, is it? You know, we don't want to overwhelm your vocals. And he loved it. He was like, more the better, he said. So it was a really kind of generous thing that he did. And I really think the thing I love about this record is the collaborators that really, you know, our songwriting is either, you know, neither here nor there. I don't really care about it that much. I think it's good for what it is. But the thing that makes this record really special to me is the other people that collaborated, like you said, Peaches and JK as well, who's an incredible young Indigenous rapper as well.
And quite awarded as well. He's got a J award to his name. I think he's got an Album of the Year award to his name as well.
His flow is just phenomenal. Let's just face it. He's just a good rapper.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're hearing him with you right in the early stages of his career.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, yeah, he's going through some difficult times at the moment, which made it quite difficult to get in contact with him and to get him to finish the track. But yeah, once again, the generosity that he showed towards us and to me was just incredible. He managed to get it over the line just when I needed it. And yeah, it just came together beautifully. The same thing kind of happened with Peaches as well. She's been in our life for many, many decades. Well, not many, many, but a couple of decades. She's played with us at the Big Day Out. It was one of her first big shows here, was when she was on stage and we did a cover of one of her songs because we just loved her first record so much. But I think we first heard it when we were in England, mixing with Andy Gill from the Gang of Four on that fourth record, I think. Yeah, we just like, listen to this, Andy, and he loved it. And we're like, oh, can we make it sound like that? Of course, our records sound nothing like that. But yeah, Paul, our manager, has had close contact with her over the years because he's done a lot of her tours, tour managed some of them and booked a lot of them in Australia since that period. So we have a close connection with her, and I've always admired her. And I think she just has gotten better and better as she's gotten older, which is phenomenal. I mean, I saw her last show at the Northcote Theatre, I think it was. And yeah, phenomenal voice and phenomenal woman.
We're talking about collaborations. There is another collaboration I'd love to talk to you about, Cocaine Runaway. Not a musical collaboration. We have an acting collaboration. Good friend of both of ours, Brian Canham, making his acting debut. Oh yeah, Brian's been around forever. Like me and you, Quan.
Brian was great. We met him for the first time in Melton. We were doing a council show. It was a big show. There was like 10,000 people there, and they played before us. And I'd never seen them live, to be honest. We had actually played them once before in Singapore, but it was the weirdest festival which was hardly attended by anyone. It was in this giant parklands, and they were playing in some weird corner, and we were playing at some other weird corner. So I didn't actually meet him then, but we got to meet at the end of this show. They played, and I was quite impressed with the band, and they seemed really lovely. Like Brian and his partner Rack is really lovely, and I just was like, oh, I've been working on new music and I've got this idea for a video, and we kind of need a lead guy to do it. Would you be interested? And he was like, yeah, sure. I was like, oh, really? Okay. So I contacted him afterwards, and he lives in not in Melbourne, but close to Melbourne. Yeah, I got it together. I produced and directed that one, and I'd never done any production before. And my God, it's like herding cats. I had no idea it was so difficult. But he was great, and he was so relaxed and natural in the role that I couldn't have been happier, really. And it was a bit of a musical collaboration because at the end, he does all of the outro music on the video. Because we happen to share this love of Bernard Herrmann somehow. And I was like, oh, how did you get into Bernard? And he said that it was when he was doing a production track with was Madison Avenue, the woman from Madison Avenue. I think he was working on a single later on in her career, and she just happened to say, oh, I love it, but I think the strings kind of need that more Bernard Herrmann-esque kind of vibe. And he was like, who? And so she introduced him to this whole oeuvre of music that he had no idea about. And I mean, Herrmann is incredible. I've been introduced to him probably through my association with Spiderbait and Janet, actually, because they were really into like Lalo Schifrin and all those old noir movie specialists, the soundtrack people, and particularly Ennio Morricone. But yeah, we kind of bonded over Bernard, and I was like, oh, I've got this cool idea of like him hitting someone and the whole track ending and then just going to this kind of Herrmann-esque kind of noir vibe ending where he discovers himself as the body and so forth. And he was like, yeah, I'll be up for like programming and doing some stuff. He hasn't done a lot of it, but I was like, yeah, you just go for it. And he sent me through something. I was like, it's very kind of Carpenter, and I kind of love it. You know, it's kind of, and the ending is particularly my favorite part of it when the credits roll. It sounds like he got just really stoned and got in front of like one of his analog synths and went for it, and I love it. So that, yeah, once again, just a really generous guy and really lovely to work with.
It's an incredible lineup that Regurgitator have had now. Peter Kostick, 25 years in the band now. Do you still think of him as the new kid in the band?
Not really. I had a very strange experience in Melbourne about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. I had not spoken to Martin Lee as our original drummer. I had not spoken to him on the phone for maybe 20 years and not seen him for maybe 24, 25 at all, like nothing. And the last time I spoke to him, had a really great conversation, went for half an hour, and then he said, "Oh, by the way, my lawyer sent you a letter." So, you know, that's the kind of vibe. There's a little bit of enmity there when we split. And then I pulled up at this guitar store 2 months ago in Carlton North called Replay Guitar, just to drop off some guitar strap buttons. I was literally 10 meters from the door. I walk in, I hear this, "Oh, is that Quan Yeomans? Quan Yeomans?" And I turn around and it's Martin Lee in a Bunnings hat, a 54-year-old version of him, mind you, and I had not seen him for that long, like 25 years. And I was shocked, like a 1 in a billion chance. He lives in Mexico. He happened to be in Victoria to look after his, to tie up some loose ends with his godmother who was ailing. He was there for 3 days, and I don't even live anywhere near Carlton North. It was so like a 1 in a billion chance. And I hugged him and was just so excited to see him and said, "Oh, mate, I can't talk to you right now. I got to go and talk to Brian Canham about this video." So I had a meeting with Brian in about half an hour. So I said, "Look, I'd love to catch up with you tomorrow or for however long you're here. Just let me know." And we caught up the next day and we spoke for about 2 hours at this cafe, just over coffee. And, you know, and it was really great. And like, it was really wonderful to talk to him as a much older adult after all this water under the bridge had passed. And it was wonderful, really, really wonderful way to tie up that loose end that had been in the back of my mind for 25 years, pretty much.
Wow, it was meant to be.
It was. It really felt like one of those, okay, universe, I get it. I get it. I know what you're trying to tell me now. So that was fabulous. But Peter, I think, you know, maybe it took that moment to go, yeah, Peter is he's been our drummer for the longest period. He's not the ring-in anymore. He's the guy. He's the guy. And to be honest, Peter is playing better than he's ever played, I think, at the moment. He's doing a really incredible job. And it took him a long time to get that groove that Martin had at the beginning, which is something very special about Martin's playing that I think a lot of drummers struggle with. And the way that he straddles between groove drumming and the hardcore stuff was very particular to his skill set. And I feel like that was difficult for Peter to kind of slot into for the first several years. I think it took him a long time, but, you know, he's magnificent now, so we can't complain at all.
You had the solo record Night Cream EP last year.
I did. I'm surprised you even know about it.
There hasn't been a lot of solo work from you over the years, though, has there?
No, there hasn't. That's the first record I did by myself for about 10 years, I think, a decade.
Ben seems to be the one that has been really cranking up the solo projects. I think he's got 4 albums to his name now, hasn't
he? He's the kind of guy who really enjoys just playing music with people, like being on a stage or being in a band rehearsal room in particular. He really needs that kind of energy exchange between the players to really feel. I mean, it's definitely an outlet that he requires in his life, I think, just for his mental well-being and socializing. That's what he does. I'm a little bit different. I like to sit in front of a computer and really kind of sculpt something that I view as my own and work it to the point where I'm happy. And I can take ages and ages to do that. Whereas he's much more spontaneous and much more about human connectivity.
Yeah, well, you had the Baddest Bitch track on that EP. That gives you a chance to sit in front of the computer and design a video to go with that.
I did. That was part of one of those COVID hangover things. I thought, oh, you know what? I'll teach myself how to use Studio One, which is the DAW I now use. I used Pro Tools for 20 years and hated it by the end. I loathe that company, and I'm quite happy to rip them a new arsehole every time I talk about it. But now that I use PreSonus Studio One, I'm really very happy about it. And the whole record was done on that. All my tracks were done on Studio One, and I mixed it on that. And COVID was the opportunity that I had to learn that software. But I also took the opportunity to learn Blender, which is an open source 3D program, which is fantastic, and probably one of the most robust open source programs out there that I know of. And it's just leaps and bounds every year. It just gets better and better, and it's really starting to shine and really starting to go up against the big ones like Maya and 3D Max, which is very impressive. It was not easy to learn though, incredible learning curve. And I often do that. I often go, I've got this project, I'm going to learn how to use this software and finish the project with this software. And that's the way I tend to teach myself. And the baddest bitch was just that particular time.
Well, there was what, Quan the Amateur? How long ago was that? It was about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
It was about 10 or 11 years ago now.
Yeah. Do you ever revisit that? Do you go back and listen to it every now and then?
I did recently, just because someone else brought it up. And yeah, there's definitely some tracks that do hold up. And yeah, I am quite impressed with a few of them. It's occasionally you go back and go, oh wow, I really put a lot of time and effort into that, and I can hear the work that I put into it, you know. And it doesn't necessarily come easy every time. You've got to work at it. Particularly rapping for me, because I'm not a natural rapper. I kind of have to sit down and write and listen to a lot of inspiration and get into the zone. And I don't have a crew or the cultural kind of framework around me to enhance that particularly well. So I do have to work pretty hard at it. So when I recently listened back to that old record, there were definitely some decent moments on it for sure. And I was very proud of the Night Cream thing when I finished it. I was happy that I got it done and mixed it, and I was happy with the weird kind of mixture of genres that it turned out to be. Definitely, it doesn't sound like anything else particularly out there. It's kind of a weird hybrid record.
What about a sequel to Welcome to Happy Land with Janet? Would you be into that?
Unfortunately, that's one of the things I haven't been able to tie up. I live in the same city with her, but we've honestly not bumped into each other for almost probably 2 decades, I would think. I'm sure by design and also by accident. It's just not something that happens. I would like to, you know, chat with her before we die. I'd like to kind of like, you know, rekindle some sort of connection. I think it's important to do that within your lifetime if you get the opportunity. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. It's totally fine. But yeah, as far as, you know, working together, I can't imagine that ever happening again. No.
If you need to bump into Janet, just pop over to North Carlton again. Obviously, that's where your universe collides with everyone.
There's clearly a waypoint of some description there, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the tour is on at the moment, Invader tour. A lot of tracks off the album, which is great. A lot of the best of Regurgitator, but no Blubber Boy.
We kind of played that one out, and to be honest, that is one of the early songs that I wrote that was not in my range. We made them. I was so inexperienced that I was writing pop songs that I couldn't actually sing properly. So Blubber Boy, I sing a lot better than I used to, if I can say that. But it's still a little bit hard for me to get up there. So we did do it for a long period of time, and I think it's just one of those songs that we just wanted to give a rest to.
Yeah. Well, good to talk to you, Quan. The Invader tour around Australia, everywhere around Australia. There's no excuse not to see this band, is there? Because you're hitting everywhere.
We're just up in everyone's grills, definitely. But yeah, please come along. It's a great time. The first few shows were really fun, and we do have another person on stage with us, Sarah Lim, who's a half Chinese keyboard player, guitarist, and guitarist. First time we've ever had a second guitarist in the band. It's been great, and she's really, really fun. And the shows are really, really have been super fun so far. So, and we are going to get better and better as we go along, theoretically.
All right, we'll go to the last show then if you're going to get better as you go along.
Yeah, pretty much. It'll blow your mind. We'll actually be able to remember all the lyrics and probably not break too many strings.
All right, good to catch up.
Yeah, you too. Have a lovely day.